Welcome, everybody. This is John Paul Meducha, Dr. Speed Selling, and this is Raging Verbalist number 247, 24/7. We're working all the time for you. If this is your first time, welcome. Glad that you're here. If you're a long-time viewer, welcome back. Always hit that like, that subscribe, notification if you want to be annoyed. We're on YouTube every Friday and also on the Facebook group, which is the Position to Win book Facebook group, and check it out there. Now, with me, as always, is the ever lovely Sandra, and she will ply me with the questions, the things that you would say if you were sitting there. Now, Sandra, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. It's year is flying by. We're already well into, what is this? September 20th already?
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it should be that far along.
You know, third week in the NFL. I mean, wow, before you know
Yeah,
it, it's gonna
yeah,
be crazy. So
yeah. All right. So with that, we are talking about holiday promotions. They are fast approaching. So when should you start promoting for the holidays?
well, if you want to look at somebody who has great advice, you go watch the movie Nightmare Before Christmas. And the Nightmare Before Christmas is that as soon as they finish their Halloween celebration, because they're Halloween people, right? And they start planning for the next year. So really, any time is soon enough to start planning it. But we're gonna hopefully get you a little bit of insight into what you should and shouldn't do. And I can tell you that so many opportunities are missed because people don't do any planning to do promotions, and they are snuck up by the big red fat man. I mean, red Santa. Oh, yeah.
And have you seen early evidence of holiday promotions?
I have, and it is like one of those scary things because there used to be decorum, there used to be firm schedules about when things would or would not happen. So I get over to the Costco. It's Labor Day weekend, and they've got Halloween candy. They've got Halloween, animatronics. They've got this, giant werewolf thing that's like 7 feet tall. And it's like, I don't know how much money. I didn't even want to go look at it. I'm going, are you kidding me? And there, people are like going, wow, it's Halloween. Halloween. It isn't even, it's barely September. We're talking about that. So yes, I have seen it. It is upon us. It is a rampage, and it is one of those things that I just go, how early are we going to start doing it?
And do promotions drive holidays?
An interesting phenomenon is businesses have caught on that people like holidays, and let's go back in time. So Julius Caesar, when he basically became, appointed himself dictator. It's one of those, hey, how many votes count? Well, mine. But what he did is he looked at the Roman calendar, and they had so many holidays that he wiped out a whole bunch of holidays. But of course, we're back to that now. I'm not saying we have another Caesar coming along, but we had, Julius had an idea. No, I don't think he was the guy who invented orange Julius drinks. I don't think that was the case either. But that's one of those urban legends. But what we see is that Starbucks, and I don't know, and if you're out there and you put in the comment section, no, John, you're wrong. It's not true. Sandra, how'd you let him say this? But Starbucks came up with this orange pumpkin spiced latte, I guess, or pumpkin spice latte, and it's now become a thing. And I know, Sandra, you have already, when I said it's coming, you said, forget about it. I already got it. So, all right. So tell me about this addiction that you have. I know there's probably a 12-step program, and they probably serve, you know, banana bread or something as a counterbalance
Pumpkin
to it.
loaf, pumpkin loaf.
Pumpkin love. Well, but again, that's aiding the addiction, isn't it?
Yes, of course. I'm here for it. It used to be
Yeah.
September 1st, but then people wanted it so much that they just released it a week earlier, a week earlier, a week earlier. And I think I was late to the party. It may have come out like the second-ish week of August, which
And
is
there you go.
wild. But so I got it iced and it was fantastic.
That's
Pumpkin
and
spice everything.
so So promotions drive holidays. Well, they're making up holidays. In fact, this pumpkin spice thing has taken over. Now, I just want to point out something that we don't really go heavily into politics, but there's really two major groups that the population breaks down into, in my way of thinking. And that is, are you a red vines licorice person or a Twizzler licorice person? Now there's a big difference. And my heart just sunk when I saw that the red vines folks succumb to the trendy pumpkin spice flavor. Now, no, I didn't buy it. I mean, I wouldn't, I mean, I would have to be, I'd be ashamed. It'd be like, walking
Do
out of
it.
yeah, be walking out of like one of those bookstores that nobody goes to with an inflatable doll or something. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm not gonna pick that up. But yeah, there's pumpkin spice everything now. Wow. Where does this thing end? I mean, Charlie Brown, the Great Pumpkin. I mean, we're there. Whew.
That's right. All right. And how many holidays can you promote?
Well, there's a marketing guy in Australia who built a calendar of 365 days, and he actually also has a promotion for Leap Day every 4 years, and that becomes this whole big deal. So he has 366 potential events that you can promote. Now, I think that seems a little bit crazy, but he does make a point, which is that you should think about how to do a promotion every single day. And whatever you're doing, if you can come up with some kind of interesting promotion and go back to customers and clients, and even if it's just to give people a laugh, a chuckle, a smile, or something like that, you'll probably do a better job of selling or moving the iron, so to speak. So yeah, it seems like that may be too many, but the answer is that you can have as many as you can convince people are real and legitimate. And of course, we have certain sports that people go crazy on. I know that you have your big red, so you go over the top on that. People come in from out of town, and we huddle together on the plains of Nebraska to
That's right.
celebrate that event. So yes, that's how many you can have. You can have as many as you can convince people are really worthwhile. Now, what you really need to think about is this. You have to think about is that you got to go out and you pick up this, which is most businesses fail in the first 5 minutes. That's because they don't position themselves. They don't do anything to really do much of that. And it usually takes them 3 to 5 years before they run out of their money and their relatives' money and their friends' money, and people won't lend them money and position to win. So you can go get this physically. You can get it at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books A Million, wherever books are sold. You can pick it up. You can also get it in an ebook. You can get it, of course, at Amazon Kindle, Barnes and Noble Nook, or Apple iBooks. So you can always go just check that out. Also, if you have a liking to and you are a remote worker or think you want to be a remote worker and you want to actually do it right, then you go pick up the book that we did because of the pandemic. And still, so many people, I hear people whining and moaning that their team isn't getting things done. Well, go pick up the book exclusively the Amazon Kindle, which is Remote Work for a Better World. And while you're there at positiontowinbook.com, which you can buy the books directly and have it autographed by me, you can go pick up your Raging Verbalist mug so you can have a little bit of rage every day and get that figured out. All right, Sandra, where do we go from here now that I'm just on a tear?
All right. So how do you build a promotional sequence?
Well, the first thing you do is you don't wake up like the day before a holiday and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we ought to be like doing something. And that means that you need to go out and start thinking about, well, what way are you going? How are you going to tie in? How are you going to hook people that what you're promoting and what you're doing has anything to do with the holiday that's coming up? So I'll give you a simple one, which is now, do you send out cards? Well, right now people go, well, John, I send out an email. Wow, nothing is more personal than sending somebody an email on an event and then trying to pitch stuff in it. But let's just take a card. Let's say we want to build a promotional sequence. Every time you do business with somebody, you take a physical card, you handwrite their information, you have something pithy to say. It could be, thank you for your business, a little thin. It could be, it was great that you trusted us. That's a little bit better. How about, I'm committed to making your purchase a great purchase, or your purchase is great, and I'm going to help you with it. So you build it by understanding that you're going to need a variety of things like thank you cards and nice pens and things called stamps and addressing and all that. So that's one way to do it. Another way, if you want to build a promotion, is to make sure that all of your advertising is, and this is your big word for the day, congruent. It matches up. So if you're going to have media that's going to be, in any digital form, it has to match up to what other media you're going to pick, and it all has to line up because that's how promotions work. Notice that the folks at Costco don't sit there and say, pick your room. So we have the Halloween, we have the Thanksgiving in the US, and we have the Christmas, and then we have the New Year. You know, we don't have four different rooms. We have one holiday that we're putting together, and that really is important.
And what does a promotional calendar look like?
Well, it can be as jammed up as our friend in Australia with 366 items. So every day you have something. And I think quality is much more important than quantity. So you got to pick something now every single day. I mean, what was the holiday that you were talking about that happened, yesterday, before we were on?
Yeah, it was a International Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Well, I'd like to go get certified by those people, or I'm sure there is a way to do it. And by the way, so talk like a pirate, arg. I don't know if there's a test. I don't know if there's, you know, is it like Rosetta Stone? Do they have one of those sections that you can learn how to talk like a pirate or do that? I mean, you can only do it one day a year, and luckily it's international. It's
Duolingo app.
Duolingo
Maybe
app. Yeah,
there you
yeah, yeah,
go.
yeah. You just you know you start sitting there and you can say ye matey and all kinds of things like that. And so, but yeah, I think that it's important to have a calendar. I mean, just in general, I like a physical calendar. So if you're not already planning 2025, we are. You should be, even though we're a few months away from it, but you should be planning what's going to happen. And just as a little quick bonus, next year, next year 25, Christmas is on a Thursday. And, ooh, wait a second. All this New Year's is on a Thursday next year. Now, why does that matter? Well, because if you're going to do promotion, you got to think about when people can shop with your stuff and when you're going to be able to deliver and all of those things. All this is easily known and it's something that you should do. So you should go through and take a calendar and say, what am I going to promote? And maybe you should do a promotion a month. Maybe you should do a promotion a week. The mistake that people make all the time. I have a client who decided one day that he was going to send out, a quotation or something smart every day. Didn't make it very far because that turns out to be a lot more work. Would have been better to say I'll send something out once a month and get the system down so it actually shows up once a month, just like we do Raging Verbalist every week, unless something catastrophic happens. And now we're working on number 247, 24/7. But guess what? And no, we didn't plan this like, 246 episodes ago and say, well, here you go. On September the 20th, we're going to have, in 2024, we're going to have a number 247. So you have to really get your act together about that. And your calendar helps you by making sure you start planning this stuff sooner than later.
And I know we can't go into depth, but what are the main parts of a promotion?
Simple breakdown, lots of detail being left out. Just saying that. So the first thing is that you have a pre-event. So if you're going to go do an event, let's say you're going to be really smart and you're going to have an event and you have picked a date. And once you put that flag in the ground, by the way, I have had to literally help clients get out of, like, they put out a promotion and, well, it was the opposite of the build it and they will come. It was build it and yikes, nobody was going to show up. So what do we do? But what you want to do is you want to look at the pre-event. So we start building all the things necessary to make the event work. view a promotion, whether it's a day, whether it's a few days, whether it's a week, but view that promotion just like doing a live event is very important because there's a lot of things that have to happen during what I call the event period. So pre-event, you develop all the materials that you're going to need and you define what they are. And there's a lot of things that you have to come up with. So don't be hasty. That's why we need a lot of runway to get this plane off the ground. And once we do, then we have the event itself. And whether it's a one shot one day where we're doing International Talk Like a Pirate Day, or we're doing Christmas, which only happens like on December 25th, though you can do a lot of stuff leading up to it. But what you have to do is you have to plan that is that day. That is the high water mark. The best time, the super bonus here for you frugal folk, the best time to buy a Christmas tree is December 26th because they're a lot cheaper. And when I ever go back to my wife's family in Ohio, we have a nice tree because I make sure that we have a really nice tree. And I always go out and buy a couple of trees because there's a guy trying to sell them and they're like 80% off. Yeah, I know you can probably find somebody to give you a twig for free, but they can get some pretty cool stuff, especially if you're going to be there between Christmas and New Year. Why not have a little bit more? Okay, so now we got the event itself, and then you have the post event, and make sure that you have enough help because once the event happens, people scatter to the wind. Uh, one of the first things that Sandra was involved with when she started working for us is that we did an event in Vegas, and hard to believe how many years ago that was. And she still, look at that, she hasn't aged a day. And I guess it's that Nebraska sun or
There you
something.
go.
But once the event is over, of course, all the participants get to go home and get to do whatever they're going to do. And everybody, we were in Vegas, so we had a lot of people want to go do who knows what kind of crazy. But we had to go and pack up, and it takes a lot to pack it up. And never forget the post event that you should always have time to go back and assess and do a post-mortem and figure out was it worth it? What did you learn? What did you do right? What did you do wrong? What would you do differently the next time you go through it?
And how would sales and marketing professionals or entrepreneurs get started in doing promotional sequences?
My best advice is take one event a quarter, pick a day, whatever that is. Maybe it's Red Vine Day or whatever it's going to be. Pick a day. And now you need to build a promotion. You need to build all the materials around it and go through and work really hard. My sense and my belief is that if you knock it out of the park and it's fantastic, we are so proud of you. It's a great thing. However, 99% of these, maybe 90%, most of them just are absolute abject failures. And that really depresses people because they're like, oh, what did I do wrong? It's called the learning curve. So pick one a quarter, go through the pain and agony of doing it. Most of the time, people will only do one. They'll do it poorly, and then they won't take all the lessons that they paid for and learn again. By the time you do a half dozen of these things, you'll figure out what you need to do. I have seen client after client make huge mistakes by not having things in order and put together. I bailed a client out at one point in time because we hired in a videographer. We brought in some audio equipment that I had, and I brought that in, and then we brought in a sound engineer. Didn't have any of this stuff organized. Luckily, we're there. Now, if you asked him, every time there was a little hitch or a glitch, he got upset. However, the bigger picture is that you need to learn how to deal with how things take place. Always expect that there's going to be calamity and problems. Never let them see you sweat, and make sure that you continue to do more and more promotions. Use that pending event, which is really what's going on. Christmas is a pending event. Halloween is a pending event. The Super Bowl is a pending event. Whatever day you pick, there is a pending event, and work your promotion towards that. And therefore, if you make it worth something, then customers will see and believe that it is worth something, just as Starbucks has done by bringing the entire world to a stop for the pumpkin spice latte. All hail, all hail, all hail. And with that, I just want to thank all of you who joined us live for Raging Verbalist number 247. And for myself, John Paul Mendocha, and the ever lovely Sandra, have a great week. Enjoy a pumpkin spice latte if that's your thing that you want to do, and start thinking about what you're going to do, because we did it in September. so you have enough time to get some things done before the end of the year. See you next time on the Raging Verbalist.